make sure you are muted. Can we, as soon as we start, can we make sure we're recording this webinar so that we can share it with others? We're being streamed on YouTube this time so that others can benefit from it. And like I said, it's going to be a very interesting webinar. I think it's something that a lot of people are looking forward to because of what's the fact that many of our students are waiting to travel to go to the US. And this is going to be basically talking about the United States, top universities in the US. We have our speaker that will join us very soon. She's going to be speaking as soon as I introduce her and introduce what we're talking about today. She will start speaking because she has to board a flight. Then we have one of our parents who has benefited from the program that we're doing, who also will be speaking. Thank you, Chielu. I can see you've joined us. Thank you for joining us. So she's going to be also just talking about her experience so that other parents can benefit from it. So, like I said, I'm Bolaji Osime, CEO, founder of Strategic Offshore Placement, which is an arm of Global International Secondary School and College. So basically, you all know us as the sixth form. We have a secondary school as well. Basically, what we do is to make sure that when our students come to us, they're able to go to top universities all over the world. We are talking about US today, United States, universities in the United States. I'm also looking at scholarships. How can parents access scholarships in view of the foreign exchange and the challenges we're having with foreign exchange? So we have a speaker who is joining us from the US, and she'll talk to us a bit, but I'll tell you what we've been doing for other students and other clients that have come to see us. So I'd like to welcome you again. And I just give a few minutes for other people to join and we will start. If you have any questions, please put it in the chat. It's very, very important because like I said, she will join us for say about 30 to 45 minutes and she'll leave. So she would love to answer this question. She would love to answer the questions that you have before she leaves, as many people as possible. So please put your questions in the chat, whether it's to do with your child in secondary school or your child in who is preparing to go to university abroad, or maybe your child is already in the US and you're looking at what can I do to help, or maybe you want to go and study for your postgraduate. So it's a combination of many things that we're looking at today. So we'll just ask you to sit tight, listen, take notes, although this will be recorded. And later on, we will share it on the platforms we have. So you're all welcome again. Thank you. So I'll just give a few minutes and I'll start going through my slides just to get the benefit of as many people. We have over 150 people that registered for this webinar. So we'll just give it a little bit more time for more people to join us. So please put in the chat any questions you have, basically any questions, and we'll answer it. So that's fine. Thank you so much. So just a few minutes, we'll start. Okay, good evening again. So we're going to start now. I think we have enough people, more people will join us so that when our guest speaker joins, she can now take over. So you're welcome to this webinar today. We've had series of these webinars and they've been very successful. So we're very happy to welcome all our participants and our parents who are joining us, parents who are joining us from other schools, school counselors, and basically everybody that is here. Maybe you're looking to what you're looking at, what can I do with, we're talking basically about USA universities today, admissions and scholarships. So maybe you're here and you're wondering how are you going to apply to the US universities? What are the criteria you need and all of that for applying for your child or for yourself? Or if you're a postgraduate student who wants to study in the US and is looking at, okay, what can I do in terms of postgraduate? One of the things that we've done for Global has been around for over 2 decades. We prepared a lot of students who have been able to progress to top universities, including Harvard, including MIT. And one of the things that we've done this time around is to make sure that not only are they able to get admissions, they can also try and they apply for partial or full scholarships. So that's why we have our speaker who will join us later. She's going to be talking to us, Dr. Bell. She will talk to us about the process of what it takes. It's quite intensive to get a scholarship in the US, but it's possible, as you'll hear today. So I'm just going to quickly go. My name is Bolaji Osime. I'm the founder of Global International Secondary School and College, as well as strategic offshore placements. So we talk about education beyond boundaries. That's what we do in Global. We make sure that all our students have access to the best. And of course, we have students that go to Nigerian universities as well. So it's not just, basically, we just make sure they progress to the top universities and they have the qualifications to do so. Okay. So I'm going to go on. And like I said, please mute if you're not talking, and so that we do not have any interference. And please put your questions in the chat as we speak so that she can address them, particularly, or any questions you want me to address later. I have a couple of my people who are here who can also join us in addressing some of the questions. So like I said, today we are talking about USA University. Can you please make sure people are muted? And we're looking at from application to access. When you mute, please always unmute me so that you don't mute me with everybody. I've unmuted myself now. Okay. So my name, just a brief introduction. A lot of people are like wondering, okay, who is behind what is happening? And that's me. I think a lot of people probably know me, but the CEO, co-founder of Global, like I said, and we have our sister company, which is Strategic Students, and we do university and college. We also, I'm also part of the education reform innovation. I'm very, very active when it comes to reforming education in Nigeria, because it's important to make sure that we have a very good education system. So that's me. So I quickly go on to our services. So what are the services that we have? Please put any questions you have in the chat, but we are talking today, as I keep emphasizing, about USA universities. We have a webinar on Wednesday that will talk about Australian, Canada, Turkish universities, but today is focusing on USA universities. And when students come to Global, we find that when they finish IGCSEs or they finish WAEC, that's our own students who join us in the sixth form. We have our own students who come. Please, can somebody monitor the thing and make sure you are muted? I don't want to be doing that because it's going to be distracting. Because we still have members, people that are unmuted, and it's distracting. Okay. So just a sec. Like I was saying, sorry about that. We have our programs when students who are in other schools, we have a program that we're doing with secondary schools, and I hope some secondary school owners who are on this webinar today will listen, will note some of the services we have that we started. And this is coming out of what we have noticed with a lot of students who have been in Global for the last 2 decades or so. So that's why we have an online program that we're partnering with secondary school, because this scholarship, trying to apply for scholarship is extremely intensive, very intensive. It takes you at least about a year. I'll go on to start talking about it. So we help with admissions. So when they come to us, not only do we prepare them with the qualifications like SATs, AP courses, and all the courses they need, we also ensure we help them with the admissions so that they can get to the university they're going. And that entails researching for the best universities, finding and applying for scholarships, and make sure we prepare them. We have a workshop that will come up every Friday with students that we're going to look at college readiness and university readiness as well. So that's part of our services that we do. So basically, we're talking about how do you navigate your path to success? Whether you're a parent who is here, whether you're a student, whether you want to do your postgraduate, you want to do your undergraduate, what is the first thing that we do in our services? And the first thing is that we prepare, like I said. But even before that, and I'm going to emphasize as I talk today, even before that, the most important qualification to apply to any university in the world is either the IGCSEs or the WAEC results or the USA diploma or the Ontario Secondary School diploma. And unfortunately, a lot of schools don't push that as hard as they should. And a lot of parents need to push that, because to actually qualify to go to a top university, they need a very good GPA. So before they come to us, or when they're with us, our students that are with us, who are going to be taking the WAEC in August, they need a strong GPA. After that, they can now do the ACT and GMAT and preparation. The other part of applying and to make sure you're successful is extracurricular. And extracurricular starts from secondary school. In fact, it starts from junior secondary school. And that's why emphasis has to be laid by school owners and counselors that we must have a very robust extracurricular. You'll see why when I keep talking, and why, and I'm sure when our parent talks, she will tell you the journey that she went through to get to her daughter to a place where she could get scholarship awards. Internship opportunities also. We help our students to make sure they get jobs. And this is something also we're going to be working with secondary school. When we say jobs, a lot of students travel during the summer. Rather than ensuring that they do internships in Nigeria or during even Christmas holiday, many students travel out. They are missing very valuable opportunities. Once they get to SS2, they must start getting internship, even if it's volunteer work, even if it's in the church, that they're helping the church for volunteer work. It all counts. They must be very involved in all the clubs in school. They must be very involved in all the activities, getting awards, being leadership programs, so important to get to where we're going. And then, of course, we also, like I said, we have the college and university application workshops that we're doing with students just to prepare them. This program goes on for SS3 students, as you'll see later. It will go on for 8 months, and for SS2 students, it will go on for 18 months. It is good to start early because of the early decisions, because early decisions come upon us before we know it. And of course, like I said, we assist with scholarship. So one of the questions that you'll ask yourself is, why do you need a scholarship consultant to help you? Like I said, and you'll hear from our parent today, it is a very intensive program. You have to go through the Common App, to fill the Common App, to make sure that everything is done. Essays are looked at by a consultant. Everything is tweaked, because we must have the right students applying to top universities to ensure they're successful. So it's not easy at all. And being international students is even, there's much more work that parents have to do, and we have to do as well for international students. Because yes, there are scholarships for international students, but you must have the right packaging. It's just like you're going for a job. When you get to the job, you must know exactly what the company is about. You must dress properly. You must be well attired. So it's the way you address, and you have to be confident. So that's why it's a longer program. It takes quite a while. It's not the same as the UK, but it pays off, because when you are able to get a scholarship, particularly a full ride scholarship, that cancels off a lot of financial responsibility. And don't we all want that now? Don't we all want that because of what's going on? So we are able to maximize scholarship opportunities for our students. And a lot of the scholarships, when we say full ride, the full ride scholarship is the full scholarship that students are able to get. Not all students will get this, because it depends on how good the student is. But majority, if you are able to ensure you have a high GPA, you have very good scores in SATs, you have done your extracurricular, your essays are the best, you will hear from our consultants very soon. So you can imagine when you look at the average fees of a college or university in the US now is about $50,000. At today's rates, can you imagine that that's about 87 million naira just to go for 1 year? It's just to go for 1 year. I mean, maybe less than that because dollar is not up to, but looking at pounds, it will be about that. But it's close to that even for dollars, because I think dollars is ranging between 1,200 to 1,300, you know. So it's a lot of money. And parents, even if you can afford it, if your child is good enough and can apply for a scholarship, why not? You can use the money on something else, you know, and that's why we're pushing parents to be part of this program, pushing schools to be part of this program to ensure that the students still have access. Nigerian University, a lot of people are bringing their children back to private universities. They are also full. They're also getting full. They don't have the capacity to take a lot of students. So that's not really the fallback. And then when you look at the advantages of a student going to the US and the kind of opportunities they get, then it's worth the investment and worth the time to look at this. And we continuously support you as well on the journey. So I'm just going through some points of why we feel you need an international consultant. Expertise in navigating the complexity of application. You will hear from Dr. Bell. You will hear from Mrs. Okufere, and they'll tell you a bit about how it is not easy. There's a need for a certain amount of expertise to navigate these complexities. And that's why we're here to help. And we're very familiar with the scholarship space. Dr. Bell has been doing this for 35 years. She's very well known in many universities. And some of our parents have had conferences with her. They will testify of the kind of knowledge she has. So when she's talking, please pay attention, listen, take notes, and then ask questions. So there's proficiency in handling application documents as well, and networks, like I said, across many universities. So what are the scholarships available for undergrad or postgrad? Merit-based scholarships. We're looking at merit-based. That's why I keep emphasizing that students have to be really good. It's not means or financial based. It's not that. It's not that. So even if you do have the money, it doesn't mean that you won't qualify for your child will not qualify for the scholarships, because it's merit-based, which tells you that very good students will be rewarded for being good. And then athletic scholarships as well. So if you have a child who is doing so well and has national awards, make sure they compete nationally and all of that for different awards. And then that child can also apply for athletic scholarship. So I just put some of our flyers here to just talk a bit about what we're doing. Okay. So we have a partnership with secondary school. That flyer is there. So we are talking to secondary schools now that even whilst the students are in boarding or they're in school, they can do online SATs on Saturday, so that they get, because you can do SATs as many times as possible. But you'll see some of the results of our students. I'm going to show you. Sometimes it takes quite a few times to get to where we're going. The best, we're looking at universities like MIT and Harvard. They're looking at 1,500. Some might look at, we're looking at like, okay, 1,300 to about 1,500. You'll hear more about that. And then we're looking at GPAs that are looking at like 3.5, you know. So we want to partner with secondary schools right from SS2 to say to them, you need to start the work now, so that they can, at the end of the day, be qualified to apply. So you can see the flyer there that talks about what it is you must raise your score. The program that we have with Dr. Bell, which is a 5 weeks boot camp, which is part of the package, preps you. If you're still a little bit short and you need more points, then you can be prepped in that program. So I will talk a bit about the program. I'll just show our flyers. Like, for example, we have the SAT prep flyers, online and physical. It can be done on the physical campus in Lagos, Abuja, or it can be done online from the schools if they're still in school. And then these are the 4-year partial and fully funded scholarships. And of course, the athletic scholarships as well. And I've put also there something for master's students also who want to study. And this is exciting, actually, for me, it's very exciting. So if you have students, I'm basically looking at it is, if you have students who are already in the US, there's some parents here, your child is in, maybe has passed freshman, is in junior or is in senior, you can still apply for scholarship if they are maintaining a good grade. If they want to go for masters, they must have a good GPA. And then Dr. Bell will talk a bit about the graduates. She'll speak immediately after I finish in a few minutes, and she will talk a bit about the graduate and how to prepare. But I think it's very exciting. And the reason why I love this graduate one is that some of them get scholarship and they get jobs immediately. You know, they're able to be assistants, you know, graduate assistant opportunities. So it gets them the work experience as well. For 2 years, they're able to get the scholarships and then get a job. But she'll talk a bit about that. For some of our students that are going for undergrad, some of the students who are in SS1, SS2, SS3, or who are with Global right now, some of our students who are in the sixth form or in our secondary school, they will be able to proceed. When they get the scholarship, they also get internships. Like I said, the US looks at you as preparing you for the workplace. So as soon as you get to college, you'll be able to get it. She'll talk a bit about this, so I don't want to talk too much about it. So I just want to say a bit now about early decisions, and that's the reason why we're here. A lot of parents did not get the benefits or did not hear about the program when we started it last year. And even the parents that started it, it was a rush because we were able to get Dr. Bell on, I think, around August or so, or June. And don't forget the early decisions for top universities. Deadlines for application start from November 1st. That means everything I'm talking about today, and she's going to talk about today, students must be ready to file by November 1st for early decisions. And why is early decisions important? It's very important because you get admission officers are able to see your application quickly, faster than others. You come in the first set of students in the pool, and then they see that this is a serious student, and obviously you cannot file for early decision if you don't have everything ready. That means your extracurricular, you know, what you've been doing, you know, your awards that you have, the leadership programs you've been doing, the debates you've been going on, the community work you've been doing, everything will have to be filled in the Common App application. So that's why it's tight. So you can imagine if you're going to university in 2025, if your child is going to university in 2025, the deadline for application this year is November for top universities and for scholarships. So we all need to get in quickly. Hence the reason why we're doing this webinar. Some of the universities go as far as February. So some parents are still applying now because some universities, but more of the top ones have already closed their admission. So we're now looking at students who still want to apply for 2024 can do that if the admissions, the university still has a deadline for February. But right now, most universities are going to be closing by February. For top universities, there's some universities that are rolling admission as well. But the top ones that many people want to go to, they start looking at admissions from November the 1st. So we all have to be ready. Let me quickly go on. So I just want to talk a bit about this. I'll be rounding up in a few minutes so that Dr. Bell can join us. You're welcome. I know you are on the platform. And
yes, I'm here.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us. You're so welcome all the way from Mexico, right?
Yes, I am in Monterrey, Mexico. Welcome, everyone.
Wow. Thank you. And I know that you're going to be boarding a flight soon. So I'm going to quickly round this up so to give you maximum time to be able to speak to our participants. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay. So I just wanted to talk a bit because I know parents are here who have students in SS2, SS3, and some of them have students who have finished as well, who have the WAEC. Now, the scholarship packages are for students who have the equivalent of, who are in grade, what we're talking about for the benefit of Dr. Bell is that they're in grade 10, 11, or 12, mainly grade 11 and 12. Many grade 11 students in the US who are in SS2, equivalent of our SS2, already have scholarships now. They already have applied and they have scholarships. That's how fast they do it there. So from their junior year, they're already getting scholarships. But we don't have that. So that's why we want to piggyback on what they're doing in the US and say to ourselves, can we start earlier? So with the SS2 students, for example, the SS2, I'll start with the SS3. So students who are doing their WAEC or IGCSEs this year, wherever they are, need to join this program if you're interested. We will be putting links on and I'm sure my people are putting links there for you to apply if you're interested. So we'll come back to you after the program and then have a consultation with us. And when you have a consultation with us and we agree on all the parameters, then you get to meet Dr. Bell in a Zoom conference, which is a parent and Dr. Bell and student conference. So when you look at SS3 students now, it's an 8-month program, and it has to start from February 2024. The first, we have students who are going to be doing ACT. We're doing ACT and SATs. So students who have ACT can take some ACT exams in February. SAT starts in March. ACT and SAT, they sort of, they try and make sure that everybody has the opportunity. So if you have ACT in 1 month, it's SAT in another month, that kind of thing. So it's intertwined like that. So there's the opportunity for students to start early. When they start early in February, there's so much that they have to do. And I've mentioned it over and over again. They will join the boot camp with Dr. Bell between March and April, so that she's working with them with so many things that she has to work with, and particularly the SATs. Whilst in school, that can be happened. So way before they start taking their WAEC exam, they have the opportunity to take the SATs. So even if it's for the first time or for the second time or for the third time, the key is that where is the target? And the target basically is we're looking at 1,300, 1,300, 1,500, and those kind of scores. And with our young people, sometimes they have to do it. They're not familiar. Our curriculum doesn't prepare us for the SATs at all. So that's why we prepare in global for that. We've been doing it for over 20 years, and we specialize in that. And of course, like I said, we have to build up their extracurricular as well, which is going to be done between May and June. They have to get recommendation letters. They have to start working on their essays. Essays are one of the most important. She'll tell you hundreds and, some students are going to write, I guess, about maybe, I don't even know, 10, 20 essays, more than that. And she has to check all of them. The reason why students haven't been getting full scholarships is because there hasn't been somebody who is working with them internally to make sure. Some counselors tell you in school that they can do it. Yes, they might be able to get you a few scholarships, like maybe 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 10,000. But to get a full scholarship for 4 years, looking at a school fees of about 80,000 per year, and they're wiping everything off, and even living expenses, it takes a lot of work. It's not easy, if anybody tells you. So it means working with the students day by day, making sure that they're coming up, they're writing their essays, and they have to write it themselves. We can't help them. We can just make sure they write it right. And she'll tell you a bit about that. And then we go on, and then by September, when they do the WAEC exams, they have their WAEC exams May, June. After that, they can relax a bit, but they need to join us again in global during the summer. So during the summer, they're doing some extracurricular. They're taking more of their SAT exams. We're looking at their recommendation letters. We're making sure they're filling the app, common app. They're doing all of those things, And then from September 2024, they can join the AP class. AP is excellent, is one of the most important, one of the important qualifications to get you a credit, advanced credit. When you come, we'll talk about that. But most parents who know about the US know that advanced credit is critical as well, because it helps the student and it also helps the application. The more rigorous a student has, more qualifications the student has. And it's not just the qualifications like SATs and ACTs, even certifications like tech, coding, Python, all these things are important. We started coding classes in global. We're going to start cybersecurity. We have cybersecurity courses. These are the things, and that's why these webinars are important. Because when parents come and say, "Oh, I need scholarship," and hello, is it like that? We're competing against the best of the world. We're competing against Chinese and Indian students. And if Nigerian students are going to stand a chance, we need to do the work. Parents have to cooperate with us to do the work, because I feel so bad for parents now. Both of my children are in the US, but they went 10 years, 15 years ago. I didn't have to pay this amount of money. So if we want to take advantage of this, you need to work with us. So of course, when they join us at Global in September, by November, they're ready to file for admission. So we're not going to be waiting till next year. And by that time, WAEC result has come out. And we can be adding these results to the application, sending to the colleges. If it's SS2, it's a more intense program of 18 months. So it starts from February. but they are going into university in 2026. SS3 students are going to go next year. Hence the hurry and everything. So that's a bit about what, whatever. Then just graduate funding. I'm not going to say too much about this. I'll let her talk about this. But for students, we've had applications from parents, and they're online as well, who wants young people to go and do their postgraduate studies in the US. So definitely, like I said, it's an exciting one. I think it's quite exciting. And I think good students will have very good opportunities to get scholarships and to get teaching assistant and research assistant jobs. But you still have to do the work as well. There's so much that has to be done. So I won't talk too much about that. She will say a bit about that later. So some of the things are needed for application, just to sort of go through before I hand over to her. Transcript, very important. So parents, start talking to your school to make sure that they have transcripts, to get them for you, because they have to be uploaded. AP transcript, that will come from us when they join us. If you're a student who is in university in Nigeria and you're finished or you're about to finish, you need your transcript, you need your degree certificates. Test scores will be uploaded as well. Essays, these are the kind of things, recommendation letters from counselors' names, everything needs to. We have a form that we give you to fill. We have a package that will be online that parents can buy as well, that will help you to prepare for all of this as well. And then resume, very critical. There's a template that you can use. Your portfolio is important. Like if you're doing art, you're doing design, you're doing any of this, then WAEC and IGCSE. One of the challenges that a lot of parents are having with the WAEC and IGCSE is that they have to send it to West to convert it. An alternative is that whilst your child is in school, they can join us online and do the Ontario Secondary School Diploma or the USC Diploma. We do that online. So when they do the diploma in grade 12, it's the same qualification and it has a GPA. But WAEC doesn't have a GPA, so they still have to translate A, B to, they have to evaluate it at West, and that takes a bit of time. So you can talk to us about what can they do to do the grade 12 from Nigeria so that they get equivalent dual certification. Okay, so this is a starter kit I was talking about. We have some of this ready to make life easier for parents to know, oh, this is what I need. This is how I start. So you can buy that. It's for sale. That was put together by my son. I think he's online as well. He told me, Mom, we need to get this thing easier because he's in the US. We need to make it easier for them to do it. Can we package this and package this? I said, okay, go, feel free. So we've put this together, which is about a 30-page document, and then university planner also. So everything I'm saying, we're going to help you with it, and you can get this documents and these packages from us. So some of us are high achievers this December exams. So some of the students who joined us maybe in September, and we prepped them. So they have, these are the scores that they have. SAT is 1,600. So she's done quite well, very close. So this kind of scores get scholarships. They get scholarships. So that's why we push and push for them to get 1,600. But even if they get about 1,300, 1,004, and they have good essays and they have good extracurricular, it's the package, not just the SATs, and they have good GPAs, then they have sailed through. They'll sail through. Okay, so this is the scholarship award. You might not be able to see it, but just from one of our students, our parent is going to talk about it later. And in one of the awards, she got $114,000. And that's not even full. And Dr. Bell will tell you what will happen when the scholarship award starts. The scholarship awards will start from maybe February, March for the students that have applied. And when they get full scholarship, this is some of the ones she got. She got 2 universities, but she's still going to get many more. And she's going to get, and we are working, she works with them and talks to them, and she pushes her people. She'll tell you the kind of work she does just to get the awards. But this is what she has been able to do for her up till now. They've had a lot of sessions. It's been tough, but they'll talk about that later. So having said all of that, I want to introduce Dr. Valencia Bell. She is an awesome person. She's, she's an American, of course, Black American, but she's passionate about young people. She's also passionate about making sure she gives access to young people to the kind of advantages that Americans have. Maybe white Americans or even Black Americans that Nigerians have not been able to access, or Africans for that matter. So she's very passionate. So when I met her, I think a couple of years ago now, she was saying, Bola, I want to work with you. So we work with her exclusively. So please don't send her a text. If you send her a text, she will not be able to work with you directly. You need to come through us. We worked with her exclusively in Africa, in some countries in Africa, and some even countries out of Africa. So most people have to come through us, but she is a dynamic person. She's in Mexico speaking. She gives her time 24/7. She talks to me. She does not waste time on anything. She's so good. Anything that you want from her, she replies you. She talks about it. She makes you feel at ease, because it's quite a stressful process. I've been on the phone with parents till 12 midnight, sometimes talking about it. And anytime I text, I say, Bola, this is what they have to do. She always has an answer. So Dr. Bell, over to you.
No worries. I wanted to make sure that everyone could see my face, but I will turn the camera off because I think it'll help with the bandwidth. Greetings from Monterrey, Mexico. I just presented at the IFE EdTech conference. So the greatest minds in Mexico have been here doing the same thing that you're doing in Nigeria, trying to figure out how to get full scholarships for their students. So I'm going to turn my camera off. Just wanted you all to know that I was a real person and I'm really invested in making sure that your students do well. All right, just a little bit about myself. I was a track athlete and I started running track when I was 5 and was on the USA track and field junior Olympic team very early. And I had a coach who told me how important the tests were. It wasn't from my school. It was actually from a coach. And he said, if you want to go to college and you don't want to pay for it, you're going to have to do well on this test. But no one told me what the test was. So my coach just dropped me off at a college. I didn't prepare. I had no idea what was on the test. And God blessed me to make a 26 out of 36 my first time. And I was only 12 years old. So because I had tested so early, I was able to get scholarships very, very early on. What that means, so we're talking 1988. My scholarship aggregate was $3 million. Of that $3 million, I was able to get $100,000 scholarship refund money that was renewable for 4 years. So I made 400,000 US dollars plus my scholarships gave me 4 years of internship in engineering. So when I graduated, I was able to start in industry with 2 years of experience and $400,000 in my pocket. Now, for students who are looking at scholarships for 24 and 25, there are so many more scholarships available. The ability to get scholarships is much easier. When I was applying for scholarships, you used to have to write paper and pencil and wait for them to mail it back to you. Now students can actually just jump on the internet, apply for scholarships, multiple scholarships with one application. So if you have the scores and you have the grades, you are able to get many, many more dollars than I was able to get. And Ms. Bull is going to help me by flipping slides. So next slide. All right. So the impact we've had for our company, I'm a globally certified benefit corporation. So we always put our purpose over profit. I retired several years ago when I was 40. I'm 52. I do this to help students. We've helped more than 250,000 students and student athletes earn over $250 million in scholarships. And most importantly, we like to think of this as social impact because with one score, we're able to keep parents and grandparents and students from having to take out student loans at colleges or even taking out personal loans or using their estates and finances to pay for school because they can earn scholarships. Next slide. All right. So I like to tell people and parents, you want to have skillful, I think someone, if you can mute, thank you. We want to think about skillful intention and downstream focus. You want students to start testing as early as possible. We actually start ACT and SAT prep as early as 3rd grade because in the United States, that's when students start standardized testing. And we start early because you can take the ACT 12 times and you can take the SAT as many times as you like to try to get a perfect score. And so we want students to understand and have enough time to be able to use those opportunities to their advantage to super score. Next slide. All right, so why do you need a game plan? I tell students all the time, life is going to happen to you or for you. Either way, if you fail to plan in this college application process, you are going to fail. What do I mean by fail? It doesn't mean that you won't be able to go to school. You just might be delayed in your application, or you will miss deadlines and not be able to apply for premier full ride scholarships. Next slide. All right, so what's your game plan? I ask parents and students all the time, where are you going to school and who's going to pay for it more importantly? Do you have a plan in place to get scholarships? Do you have a plan in place for application? Do you understand the process? Is your GPA high enough and your ACT and SAT score high enough, not only to be admitted to college, but to earn full ride scholarships? Now, there are some programs, if you have a 3.5 GPA and a 30 on the ACT or the equivalent of a 1400 on the SAT, students can be accepted to medical school, to graduate school, and to law school early. What do I mean by that? So, for example, at the University of Alabama in Birmingham, also at Brown University, which is an Ivy League school, if you have a 3.5 and 30, 3.5 GPA, 30 on the ACT, you can be accepted to medical school out of high school. What does that mean? That means instead of spending 4 years in undergraduate and 4 years in medical school, you could graduate from undergraduate and medical school in 5 years. So not only are you an MD when you finish, but you've also saved yourself the fee of $80,000 a year for 3 years. Next slide. All right. So the importance of academic performance. I cannot stress this enough. I can have ACT and SAT scores go up in 5 weeks, but your GPA takes time. So sometimes I'll have students that are referred to me who have really, really, really good scores after we prep them, but they have very, very low GPAs. You want your GPA to stay around the 3.5 out of 4.0 range. Many of the US schools do not give any additional points for taking AP or IB, which is something that happens all over the globe. They're going to normalize your GPA to a 4.0 being the highest score you can get. And so you want, when you convert your GPA over, to have at least a 3.5 on a 4.0 scale. And again, you want those ACT scores in the 30 plus range, your SAT scores in the 1400 range. If you do that, your chances of getting a scholarship after admission are very, very high. Next slide. All right. So scholarship searches are very iterative. What do I mean by that? It is a process. So what you're going to do is you're going to look at the 6 schools. Many times people apply for more than 6 schools, but I tell students to zero in on the schools that have their majors and that they are interested in matriculating to, and give themselves 5 months from the time that they apply for this admissions process to happen. You want to apply as early as possible. So if you can apply early action because you already have your score and you already have their GPA, apply early action. Sometimes early action is as early as August. When you apply early action, that gives you sufficient time to develop relationship with the key decision makers that make the decisions. So for example, I've been doing this for 35 years. I have a Rolodex of over 6,000 scholarships that these are the decision makers. These are not you calling the scholarship office and trying to get to the person who's going to make the decision. These are the decision makers. And immediately, I've done this with students who are in the program now. We call the decision maker. The first question they ask, do they have this GPA? Do they have this score? Because they are giving your student sometimes a $225,000 investment. They want to make sure that your students can be admitted for the freshman class. So you need to make sure that your student is positioned for a full ride scholarship, that they already have their grades that can be documented, that they already have their scores that can easily be emailed over, because they will earmark scholarships for their students and wait for their applications to complete if they can verify that the scores and the GPAs are there. Next slide. All right. The highest score that you can make on the SAT is a 1600. And there is a new digital SAT that many students are taking. So there's an English portion, a math portion, and a reading portion. And again, you want that score to be as close to a 1600 as possible. You do get a verbal score and a math score from the SAT, and they will be looking for those scores to be, again, as close to 1600 as possible. Next slide. All right. So in our 5-week intensive, we actually go over 1,250 questions. I'm actually certified by the ACT and SAT. I write questions for both. We go over all of the content and strategies, and we also give 2 full-length tests. So you will know exactly how your score has increased from the beginning of the test to the end of the test. We also, each week, go over the strategies that are content related. So it's not uncommon for us to move student scores 5 to 10 points on the ACT and 100 to 200 points on the SAT in as little as 5 weeks. Next slide. All right, so why is extracurricular activity important for scholarships? This is very competitive, and we are looking for well-rounded students. So it's not just having a 4.0 GPA and having a perfect 1600 score. There are hundreds of thousands of students worldwide who that is all that they have is a good score and good grades, but they don't have any other extracurricular activities that are a critical component of their profile to make them stand out. What are their unique gifts and talents? They have to show evidence, and that's based on their interests, their skills, their leadership abilities, and their commitment to making the university community better. I cannot tell you the number of essays that will ask, how will you make our university community better by you being a freshman? And then you have to write a 500-word essay on the gifts and talents you bring to that university. So think about that when you're thinking about your extracurriculars. Next slide. All right, so the relationship between extracurricular activities and scholarships. So these are some of the activities that I like to stress to students when they're thinking about going into their last grade years. Have they been in leadership programs? Are they volunteering? Are they doing community service? Have they shadowed? Are they done any extracurriculars? It will be impossible for you to fill out that information.
I think she's having a bit of a challenge where she is, so it's fading out and fading in. Dr. Bell, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. It's been fading out and fading in.
Okay, that's what I was trying to figure out. All right. Can you hear me well now?
Yes, we can hear you well now.
Perfect. And all I was just saying is that there's a strategic relationship between how many extracurriculars you can demonstrate in your essays and the scholarships that you're eligible for. Next slide. All right, so here's an example of well-rounded applicants. You want to, again, showcase your unique gifts and talents and differentiate yourself. So if you started your own club, if you started your own nonprofit, if you developed your own citywide recycling program, those are the things that you will put in your essays that will make the committee say, this is absolutely someone that I have to have in my freshman class. And those are examples, blood drives, food drives, all of those things are important. So you want to start documenting those activities immediately. Next slide. All right, so here's some case studies of success that we've had with admissions and scholarships. Next slide. All right, Brandon Turner is a current student at Northwestern University. As you can see, his SAT score was not super high, but for athletics, sometimes they will waive the score a little under a 1300. Look at his GPA though, a 3.5. So he received not only a football scholarship, but also an academic scholarship. And so we saved his family. It's $84,000 a year to go to Northwestern. So he received a full, the amount that you see there is literally what was saved just for the academic piece. But he received additional funds. So just in having a good score and good grades, we saved his family about $350,000. Next slide. All right, so how do you secure graduate assistantships? I know that some students had asked about that. If you could mute, that'd be great. So if you have a high GRE or GMAT score and you have a good GPA, it's very easy for you to secure assistantships. So they're called GAs. What a GA does is a person who actually is a graduate student that is assisting the major professor for that term, or that department, or that college. It's an opportunity for you to really showcase your value to the school and to your department. And it's the beginning of you cultivating your professional relationships. For example, when I was at the University of Southern California, I was able to become a national executive board director for the AERA, which is the American Education Research Association. From that, I was able to travel abroad to work with other students, and everything was paid for. That was a part of my graduate assistantship. Next slide. Now, here are some ways to secure GAs. First of all, you need to cover your bases. If you don't have, you need to research, find out what is important. Are you a good fit for that department? And then focus on your studies. If you have a low GPA, it's going to be very difficult for you to go to your department chair and even ask for an assistantship. You want to collaborate with other graduate assistants, because those graduate assistants will know which graduates are graduating and how many additional professional opportunities there are for networking, and to give you referrals. And you want to know the requirements of the GA. So if you don't meet the requirements, if you can't teach the courses that they're asking you to teach, or if you're not able to work the required amount of time to work, or if your immigration status is not correct, you would not be able to get letters of recommendation to be able to apply. And also, if you want to customize it, you want to make sure that you are just trying to customize your application. Make sure that your application is up to date and that you have current accomplishments. Next slide. All right, so number 6, you want to make sure that you are providing good references and make sure that you are getting an interview. When you get to the interview stage, that is a good sign. That means that you are someone that they absolutely want to work with and that they are ready to move to the next level. I want you to understand that a graduate assistantship is a $40,000 investment that they're making during the time that you're a graduate student. So you want to make sure that when you go to your interview, that you understand what's expected of you. And if it's not something that you really want to do, don't commit to it, because it is a paid job. You also want to make sure that you are deciding. You may get 4 or 5 graduate assistance opportunities. Once you decide on the one that you want, it's just good professional practice for you to go back and tell the other people that you're not interested, so they can give those to other people. And you want to follow up as soon after your interview. You want to follow up with a professional email. I prefer to give them a handwritten note, because everyone else that's applying will give them an email. But if you send a handwritten note about how excited you are about getting the assistantship, I've seen people receive their assistantship when they went to pass the note. The person was making the final decision, and because they were there with a personal note, they got the assistantship. Next slide. All right. Here are listed some of the Ivy League schools that we've been able to get full ride scholarships for. I mean, the list is very extensive. There are more than 6,000 schools, but we just put a list of the ones that most people were interested in, like Harvard, Princeton, Yale, UPenn, Columbia, Cornell, and the like. There have been hundreds of thousands of dollars that have been saved. You can see the amounts of the yearly expenses. And those, if you take those and multiply that times 4, that's the amount of the scholarship money that we got at a minimum for those students. Next slide. All right, another list: NYU, USC, Python Trojans, where I graduated from, Brown, Dartmouth, MIT, where I do research, Johns Hopkins, Georgetown. The list goes on. And it's not just Ivy League schools. We work with all schools, because sometimes there are schools that you may not have heard of that have a really, really good opportunity for scholarships. And if it fits your major and it fits what your career trajectory plan is, I have no problem connecting you with those scholarships as well. Next slide. All right. I think that your parent is going to speak now.
Yes, but if there are any questions, how many minutes do you have for us?
Oh, so no, you're fine. If there are questions, they can go ahead and ask questions for about the next 10, 15 minutes.
Okay, please put the question in the chat as well. So we see some questions there, but I'm going to ask for Lisa's mom to speak to us so that at the end, while she's speaking, please put questions in the chat, because I think it's easier for us to read the questions. And later, if anybody is really feeling really desperate to ask, we can ask you to put up your hands, but it makes it a little bit more easier and simpler to ask the questions. But if you must ask later, we can ask you to put up your hand. So I'll just quickly introduce Chinyelu, our parent, who has gratefully, and we're very grateful to her that she's agreed to be part of this webinar because she has gone through the process with us and she knows exactly what it takes. And there's nothing like somebody who has been through it to be able to talk to other parents and to be able to talk to other students. So Chinyelu is an alumni of Queen's College and has a Bachelor of Science in Economics and Masters of Business from Bangor University. She's a financial professional with over 20 years in strategy development. She's also an expert in sales and relationship management, fellow of the Chartered Institute of Bankers, very passionate about giving back to society, continues to work extensively with children, and she's married with 3 lovely kids. And Lisa happens to be one of her kids with us. And Lisa is absolutely wonderful. You know, so Chinyelu, over to you. I think you have the mic. So please unmute yourself and speak to us. I would ask you a couple of questions. Let me just put this, let me put this away so that we can see your face, right? Let me stop sharing for now. Okay, so I just have a few questions that I would also, are you there? Are you there?
Yes, good evening, Ms. Sime. Thank you for having me.
Thank you
Hi,
so
Dr.
much.
Val. Good evening. And hello, parents. Nice to have all of you here.
Awesome. So
hi, Mom.
Hi. How you doing? Good
Those letters
are
coming in. I love it.
I know.
When you look at her, I don't think she has 3 daughters. One of them is already in the US. You look so young and so good. So thank you. So my first question really for you to just talk to us about, so that we can guide this conversation a bit, which I believe maybe these are the kind of questions parents would want. You know, can you tell us a bit, start by telling us a bit about the initial steps your daughter took when she decided to apply to the university in the US. What made you take this decision? Because you went to Bangkok, for example, you went to Wales. So what made you take this decision to start the process of preparing her to go to the US? You know, what led to this decision?
Okay, thank you very much again, Mr. Sime. The thing is, you know, like I already have a daughter that is in school in the US. And so Lisa was clear about what she wanted, where she wanted to study and the course she wanted to take from, you know, over like a year ago. And so she literally started the process herself, you know. It entails a lot of research work. You know, she went online and started to search for schools in the States, top schools that offer the course she wanted to take. And then, of course, the research is a bit intense because the research guides your application process. So research entails finding the schools, knowing their rankings, knowing their conditions, their requirements for the application, and of course understanding, you know, the expectations of the school. So she literally was like tried to fit herself into that community, and so she registered for like virtual tours. Ideally, if she was in the States, she would have gone to visit those schools physically because that kind of gives you an idea of where you're actually trying to apply to. But the schools also have a virtual tour. And so she registered and she participated in those virtual tours. So that kind of gave her an insight into the expectations, you know, and the amount of work that she needed to do. You know, so some of the things that I'll mention are like finding out about the courses that you are going to be taking, the professors that are going to be taking you on your courses, the student organizations that the schools have, how you're going to bring value to the school. You have to think about what value you're bringing to the school. You know, those are the things that will guide your application. They'll guide your essay writing, which is very important. So that research process is a lot, and it entails a lot. Of course, part of the research also involved watching videos of students that are currently in that school, getting an idea of, the process and their experience and all of that. So those details are things that helped her to, narrow down the list of the schools that she was going to apply to. And then, of course, started the application process. Of course, the application process is very intense. And of course, she required my support, and I gave her a lot of support. In fact, I was so stressed. And, but it's interesting because you also learn even in that process. So yeah, I think that's really how it all started. A lot of research work and a lot of, trying to get information about the schools that she wants to go to, and then that will guide you on what to do, what steps to take.
Okay, thank you so much for that. So I can actually, from what you said, Lisa had to put in a lot of work herself. So the student has to put in a lot of work even before they get to the stage that they contact us, even before. And that's why it was easier for you to meet the early action and the early decision dates, because she had done the tours, she has gone online. So by the time you met with us, she had started looking at some of the colleges and some of the universities. So that's why we're emphasizing to parents to please make sure where they are. We can even walk alongside. We didn't have the opportunity. We hadn't met Lisa and her mom. So we didn't have the opportunity to walk alongside with them. So they had to do quite a bit of the work. But when you now zeroed in, and of course you knew you were going to the US, she had joined Global International College. What were your thoughts about money? Because you know what it is now, what the rates, so what were your thoughts about the cost of education? I mean, didn't you even think, oh, Lisa should stay in Nigeria? Or what were your thoughts about how am I going to afford this? You already have a child in the US. What were your thoughts and what did you think would happen? Do you ever think this would happen and all of? Just tell us a bit about what went through your mind and why you came to a decision. Yeah.
So very interesting because I kind of knew a bit about scholarships, and I knew it was it's very competitive and very intense. But at the time that we started this conversation, the dollar rates were still like stable, and you could actually kind of plan. Of course, we were working to get scholarships, but we were looking at part scholarship. We never really envisaged full ride scholarship. Because how it is. The process of course, then we hadn't met Dr. Val, and we didn't know that this opportunity existed. But of course, as things progressed and the rates became crazy, like really crazy, and thankfully we joined the webinar that I think she took in September. And of course, after that webinar, I knew that there was no way we're not going to get this full ride scholarship. I knew it, because I mean, the details, the information that she shared were actually achievable. They looked very achievable from where we were at that time. And of course, I saw the passion, her commitment, her years of experience. So that really inspired and motivated her. She was part of that webinar as well. Lisa was part of the webinar. So right after the webinar, of course, I engaged yourself to get the details, because it was full ride scholarship or not. Of course, by that time, the rates had even gone even crazier, the rates. So, of course, they entailed a lot of work. I must emphasize about the work rate. A lot of these things that we're saying, thinking back at the processes, for instance, the essays that were required to meet as part of the criteria for your application to be strong, for you to get the admission, and for you to now be qualified for scholarship. Because if you don't have an admission, then you can't even be talking about scholarships. So that whole process, very intense. The time, we didn't start as early as, we should have started. So there was a lot of work to be done within a very short time frame. The essays are really intense because, like I said, your essays have to help to make your application to stand out, and then, typically, putting it together, the amount of essays, one college can require like 5 essays, especially the top schools. They require multiple essays, and all of them different. And, so initially it looked like a very tall order, but, looking at the exchange rate, looking at the options that we had, we put in everything, was shut down, and we were just working. And at the same time, she was in school, she was doing her, preparing for her SAT, and of course she had classes in school as well. So it was a lot of work for her, but I supported her, encouraged her, and we're able to meet the deadlines. Now, for the scholarships, you find out as an international student, one of the things that most of the schools require is that you submit your application as early action, for you to be qualified for those scholarships, most of the schools. And the early action deadlines were largely around 1st of November, 15th of November, and 1st of December. So we just took it in bits. The ones for 1st of November came first. We tried to push in, and we met the deadlines, of course, with the help of Dr. Val, who had to review the essays and, make sure that they met the standard. That is very important because those essays have to meet the standards. And of course, looking at what the admission officers are expecting to see in your essays, that expertise from Dr. Val was very helpful. In fact, when Lisa sends in her essays and she returns, Dr. Val returns, to edit and returns to her, you just see the expertise. That this is a case of someone that understands that terrain, understands, what the admission officers are looking out for. So it's the same story in the essays, but, it's presented differently. So that expertise was very helpful, I must admit, because, looking at the before and after of those essays, you see the clear difference, And so, yes, we were able to meet the deadlines with a lot of work, a lot of stress, late nights, back and forth, juggling everything together. And of course, Miss Osime was, when she was talking about the 12 midnights, I'm sure I'm one of them. I mean, she's awake by 1 a.m. to respond to my chats, like seriously, what are you doing awake? Sometimes, I think there was some time I said it was 3 a.m. or something. I wasn't in the country. So where I was, it was like, how are you awake at this time? So all of that support from Dr. Val and Ms. Osime, I must commend them because I know how sloppy it can be when people that organize this kind of programs, they are not on top of their game. They're trying to reach out to them. They don't respond on time. They are clumsy with their feedback and all that. But with them, it made the process very seamless. They're very accommodating. And, they are very, they're ready to attend to whatever the concerns you have, the queries. So all of that really helped Lisa with the application, and meeting the deadlines, which is very important.
Awesome. So when you finally started getting the scholarship awards, how did you feel? I'm sure prayers had gone. Of course, you're a fasting person, you're a prayerful mother. So how did you feel when God answered your prayer? Because really, it's prayers answered. Quite a lot of the stuff you said, it's excellent, but even the additional thing that we have to do is also to pray for our children as well and to pray for where they're going. So when this scholarship started rolling in, how did you feel? That God has answered our prayers, he has sent Dr. Babel and all of this. How did you feel?
Okay, so let me even say that I actually even started to speak to a few of my friends and my family members. Some of them are here in this meeting, and I shared my experience. So of course, before the scholarship started coming in, by that time the exchange rates were completely unreasonable. In fact, I said to someone that it's even morally wrong to spend that kind of money to go to college. I mean, it's crazy. So when the responses from the colleges started coming in, of course, it's Lisa, so it's her email, so she gets it first, then she runs out to me to say, oh, mommy, I got this offer, I've got this offer, and and of course it just is, it just feels so good. And I must speak to the fact that you're talking about prayers. The truth of the matter is that prayers are very key to, having said all of this, I know that because one of the schools we applied to, we got the response in like less than 2 weeks, which was like, wow, that was fast, and of course we can't underplay the importance of prayers. Lisa too is praying, because I told her, listen, this college thing, it has to be full ride or nothing, because these things are not even making sense anymore. And so, yes, we were very excited, happy. But even when we now had this second session with Dr. Val after the responses had come, she even encouraged us to say, oh, we haven't even seen anything yet. There's more to come, So this is just like the basic, scholarships that we're getting, that there's still a whole lot more to come. So that was really encouraging. You know what I mean? Because if the expertise in scholarship is telling you that, then so that actually even kind of calmed us down. And so now the pressure is off. The pressure was intense between September and December, a lot of pressure, everything was just really about the application. But the pressure has eased off. Lisa is back to school. So another important thing is the feedback, the back and forth with the colleges when you applied. You also have to be on top of your game, because when you submit your application, they immediately get back to you in maybe 48 to 72 hours, and you have to provide those information within the timeline for the additional information, so it doesn't end at submitting your application. So that also, contributed to all of the pressure. So yes, we're very grateful to God that we are on track for a full ride scholarship. And I said to Mr. Sima that once I get that full ride scholarship complete, that I'll be her ambassador to market this product.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. And I mean, I had to talk about the God aspect of it, because I know that you were talking to me about a lot of that. And I say, we're a Christian school, and I say to parents, yes, this thing is not magic, even when you have the best experts that have done the work, you still have to pray hard, and and God answers prayer, and see how fast it was rolling out for you. So whilst we do this as well for our children, and we know where our nation is at the same time, we will always have to continue to pray about these things and to also talk to the Lord. And then we do our bit as a college and try and make sure that our young people have access to the best in the world. It just takes everybody working together. And I'm so glad that the awards are rolling in and more are going to come. And it's just, when we make those decrees and declare it, it happens. It's so important. I say to parents, don't be negative about anything. The fact that Nigeria is where it is doesn't mean that it's our own portion. So God will always make a way for us to escape. And this is one of the ways of escaping. And like Dr. Bell had mentioned, this is not just you getting an award, it's her getting an internship, it's her getting an opportunity to get a top job, when she goes. So it's a lot more in the package, that happens. And God doesn't start something, he finishes it. It says exceedingly abundantly more than you can imagine. That's what he does for us. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for talking, and congratulations once more. We're looking forward to many, 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 many scholarships for Lisa.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Val. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. I wanted to add really quickly.
Please. I was going to ask actually if you wanted to add.
The beauty of what she just said, she's an early action student. So most U.S. scholarships for colleges are not awarded until late March, early April. So if you think about the fact that she's receiving scholarships right now, those are just the basic level scholarships that, because she's been admitted, she's gone through the process. That's the first tier of scholarships. She has not even yet received her departmental scholarships for international students. She's just received the cream of the crop. Like, she hasn't even gone down into the best of the bowl, as I say. So I cannot imagine. She'll probably have 6 to 7 full ride offers by April.
Wow.
And I'm just very excited to see where Lisa's going to end up.
That's awesome. Awesome. So before you leave, Doctor, let me just quickly go through the questions so you can answer them. The first one says, is the full ride scholarship still open for the fall for the class of 2024?
Depends on the school. I would say probably not. It just depends on the school. Why I say that is because right now the schools are deciding who they're going to give full rides to. And sometimes those students that they give a full ride to will probably, sometimes they choose another school as their first choice. So that leaves that full ride scholarship available. But if you haven't started the process and you don't have your paperwork in and you haven't had a good score yet, without that score and good high grades, I would say a full ride for fall 2024 is probably not going to happen.
How about a partial one for maybe the rolling?
Partial, absolutely. Now, if you wanted to do a partial scholarship for an admissions, if they were interested in being admitted for the summer, there are scholarships that are just for the summer, but they would definitely have to sign it with you immediately because those scholarship deadlines will be like February 28th, 29th, March 15th for the summer scholarships. Like there's some scholarships that are just for the summer. It has nothing to do with fall and spring. But if you get admitted for the summer, you can always roll your admission over to the fall because you would already be here in summer school. And for some students, if you know that they need a little more time to mature and get used to where they're going to school, coming to summer school with a full summer scholarship is an excellent opportunity for them to aggregate themselves to the community, meet their deans, and really have a great fall semester. So they would already have good grades for the summer. So they would be ahead of the game for applying for scholarships that are available their freshman year.
Awesome.
So it's not too late. It's not too late to apply.
So what I'll do, in a few minutes, I'll put, Doris, can you put my number there? So if parents, if you want to contact us, send me a chat afterwards, direct to me, so that we can look at some of these things because the deadlines are not on top of us for 2024. But if you can send me a chat, we can start the conversation tonight.
It would definitely be a case-by-case basis. It depends on where they want to go to school. That's the depending factor.
Yes, but please don't text me after 12, although they've told you I don't sleep, but I do sleep. So please text me and I probably will be able to answer today. If not, we will look at it on Monday, but we'll definitely get back to you. So please put my number there, Bolaji Osime, so parents can reach out to me. The next one says IELTS. IELTS is a scholarship. IELTS is not a scholarship exam. I can answer that one. It's just an English proficiency exam. It's the ACT or the SATs for the US. So it's not a scholarship. Then if my child takes the SAT and WAEC, are they still required to go through WES? Yes. Yes, they are required to go to WES because WES evaluates the WAEC because WAEC doesn't come in as a GPA. And colleges and universities are looking at GPA. When you fill the common app, they're going to be asking for GPA. So it has to be transferred. It has to be converted. That's why we suggested that if your child is still in SS2, they can actually now contact us and we can put them online and they can do a USA diploma as well. So they can have the WAEC and they have the diploma, and it's possible to do both at the same time if they can join. Let me see, what's the next one? Okay. What are the requirements for postgraduate studies like a master's degree? Is any exam necessary? Dr. Val. Requirements, general requirements for postgraduates. And I think you've mentioned it, but if you just want to say it again, you have mentioned the GMAT. Dr. Val, are you still there? Okay, maybe she's dropped off again. So yes, the general requirements is usually a good GPA in your degree. So just like the young people have to have a good grade in WAEC, you also need a good GPA for your degree. I think it covers maybe from about 2.5, 3.0 to 4.0, I think, different programs. But the GMAT and the GRE are the exams. And normally what you have to do is to make sure you contact us because we do this, and you can also be prepped by Dr. Val. You also need to have all the other conditions that we mentioned, which means your essays. You have to write very good essays. If you are applying for a graduate assistantship to fill the forms and all of that. Maybe you want to answer this question. I was trying to answer it. Postgraduate, yeah, you went up for a bit.
Oh, what are to ask the question again?
Yeah, what are the requirements for a graduate degree? And it's an exam, yeah, and also of course scholarship as well. Yeah.
So it depends on the degree that you're looking for. If you're interested in an upper level terminal degree in business, they will probably be looking for the GMAT over the GRE. Most regular graduate programs will look at the GRE, and there are what we call industry specific. So if you're interested in the medical field, you have to take the MCAT. For pharmacy, the PCAT. For dentistry, the DAT. For nursing, you would have to pass your NCLEX and then take the GRE to be admitted to graduate school if you wanted to pursue your doctorate or your master's in nursing. So it's very specific on the degree that you want, but I will tell you they will be looking for all the GPAs are usually a 3.0 or higher to be admitted, between a 3.0, 3.5 for scholarships. So the higher your GPA undergraduate, and the higher your test score, it's almost like the same iteration when you're coming out of high school. The higher those scores, the more scholarships and GAs you are eligible for.
Awesome. Would you be providing assistance in recommending the best school for?
Absolutely. We do that as well, because we track our students all the way through their terminal degree. So if I have a student that's in, 11th, 12th grade, and they decide they want to be a doctor, and they tell me what kind of specialty, we're already looking for, specialists. I mean, I've been doing this for 35 years, so I have a network myself of over 250,000 people who are professionals. And it's very easy for me to pick up the phone like we did for Lisa and call and say, well, she's interested in going to school here. How many people here would be able to just open their arms to her and make sure that she has what she needs? So we will definitely do that for them.
Great. What if I have an average GPA, but I do very well on my SAT and I have extracurricular? Can I still get a good scholarship?
Maybe yes, average, you can.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm not really sure what you mean by average, but it is possible with the strength of the essays that we help you to write that you can actually make the person who's reading your essay understand why your GPA was average. Sometimes people, with COVID, there were a lot of people who did really, really poorly with the virtual education. And before that, they had really good grades. And then with virtual, they did really bad. So it's all in the strength of your essay. What I would tell you to do is you will not know unless you apply. And when you apply, you want to make sure that you are at the top of your game. So I would say reach out and apply.
Okay. Please, I want to confirm if these scholarships are available for courses for aeronautical engineering or aviation technology or aviation piloting, because it appears as if I'm hearing that most of the scholarships are for medical courses and some others.
Yeah, that's not necessarily true. Auburn University has a full scholarship, and Embly-Riddle has scholarships. Air Force Academy has scholarships. So again, I would say reach out, start the process, and then I could actually use my expertise to help you. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to go because we're about to board from Mexico back to the United States. But thank you so much. And if there are other questions, if you'll send those to me by email, I'll be more than happy to answer them for you.
Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
God bless you. Bye. Okay, she answered this one. I would like to know the requirements. She's already answered for postgraduate scholarships. That has been answered. What are the chances and prospects of scholarship for applicants who are in a gap year, haven't completed high school? Or is a gap year a good idea? A gap year is actually a good idea depending on what you did during the gap year. And that's why I've emphasized for parents that to make sure if a child takes a gap year, internship, community service, extracurricular. So definitely gap year is always a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It doesn't work against you so long as you were doing something very productive. You were doing a certification with Google, or you had a tech course that you're taking. So everything helps you. Everything helps you. That's the most important thing. Are there services available for current undergraduate students seeking additional scholarship? Oh, yes. Yes, for sure. If you are in, like I said, I had mentioned this earlier, if you are in maybe your second year or third year or in college, or you have a parent has children in college, they can apply, but the GPA is critical as well. So I think we have put links there that you can fill, and my number is there. You can contact me and send me a text, and then we can take it from there. But the critical thing is that scholarships are available for whether you're in your second year or your third year or your final year. Scholarships are available all throughout for students. The important thing I think we would all have gathered or garnered from this webinar is that you must be a good student. It doesn't mean that you're academically on top of your whatever, but it means that you work hard. So they mix it up. They look at your extracurricular. They look at your GPA. So let's say, for example, you have a GPA that is about 3.0. They look at your essays. They look at everything. And what we do is to help you with all of this. It's just like making sure the package is right that goes before them. Okay. Can international students get full ride? Oh, yeah. That's what we've been talking about. We've been talking about full ride scholarships are fully funded scholarships for 4 years. So top students have access, and universities do give top students full ride scholarship, but it is also competitive. And that's what Lisa's mom just said. That is the full ride we're going for. Like I said, a lot of prayers have to go into some of these things because I'm not the one that is going to admit students. We just help you to package and we give you the access. So you have to be very prayerful. You have to talk to God about this. I want a full ride. That means I want 4 years paid for. You can imagine if your parents or you're a parent, you don't have to pay. We don't know where the dollar is going. That's the saddest part. So, and you still want to go to university in the US, it's possible, but everything works together for good. So we have to do our bit, you have to do your bit, and then both of us together, we have to seek God's face, and I'm sure things will come out well, so long as we are doing everything we're supposed to do. Okay, so. Okay, I have some direct messages. Please, my number has been put there. Just send me a text. Send me a text. For fall 2024, yes, please send me a text on the fall 2024, like you had mentioned, that is still possible. And that's a good score. So let's quickly start working on this immediately so that we can get her. And she submitted, she submitted. Okay, you have your hand up. Do you want to talk? Do you want to unmute Viz? Do you want to unmute or you want to contact me later? Because if she submitted early decision with a high score, has she gotten any awards yet? So
hello?
If she, yes. I was asking
I'll talk to you.
Yes.
I'll talk to you later.
Please
I'll chat you up later. This is Adobe's mom. I'll talk to you.
Oh, okay. You saw her picture, right?
Yeah, no, I didn't actually.
Oh, you didn't? Oh.
No.
Please, let's talk.
Okay.
Let's talk later. Yes, let's talk.
Okay.
Awesome. Congratulations as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
How long does WES take, and how do I get through to WES? WES, please contact us. That's the best thing, because it's not just WES. Parents have to contact WES, but if you go to the website of WES, you can contact WES there. All the parents did it themselves. Chiendu, are you still around? Lisa's mom? Maybe
yes, I am.
Can you tell us,
here.
did you send the IGCSEs to WES to evaluate?
Okay, let me just say that the WES is it's a function of the school. A few schools insist on it, right? But I've not had to send anyone to WES throughout the application. And again, you can actually engage the admission officers if you feel that some of the requirements they're asking you for, you can't get it done. So there's room for you to engage them in terms of email or call them, as the case may be, and explain certain things that are peculiar to your application. And you find out that my experience is that a lot of times they waive some of those things that they insist on, you find on their page, so I've not had to send any to WES, to be honest. A few people had requested but I engaged them, and for all the schools that we have applied to so far, I've not had to send to WES. But I know that WES takes about 2 to 3 weeks. The process takes about 2 to 3 weeks to get the information to the college that you want the information to go to.
Thank you very much. So you've heard, so it's good to engage. Like once you start getting admissions, you have the email of the admission officer. So you can start engaging them and saying to them, look, can you look at this? This is the equivalent online. I know we have to go through that process. And then we send them some information for one other of our students that, look, this is the equivalent of A. A in WAEC is 4.0 GPA. B will probably be a 3.8. So depending, and that's why we keep emphasizing that students in the IGCSEs and the WAEC, they must get A's and B's. So they're now between 3.5 and 4.0 GPA. So in most cases, but then it's also still good to start early. If you're starting now for 2025, you are early. West, you can, once the WAEC results come out, or if you have them, it can be sent to West. But if you go online to their platform, it's a very easy process to do. Okay, please, what are the general requirements for pursuing a PhD after a patch? Yes, you can pursue a PhD. Yes, scholarships are available, but please, unfortunately, Doctor has gone. She will have been able to put more light on that, but definitely it covers up to PhD. But then PhD has its own peculiarities of ensuring you have a professor or somebody who is sponsoring you. So do send us an email or text me, and I will get over to her and send you. Anybody that has any questions for her, just send it direct to me. I will send her, I'm on WhatsApp with her, so I can send it to her while she's on the plane, anywhere she will answer it. What services can I receive? I'm trying to apply for graduate scholarships. All the services that we've spoken about, admission, application, going through the application with you, the admission process, applying for scholarship, looking at your essays, looking at your extracurricular, looking at everything that you need. But then you have to do a lot of work yourself too, to make sure you chase after your college or university for your certificate, chase after them for your transcript, chase after them for recommendation, for people that your resume, all of these things, but we'll guide you. I showed you a package that we had earlier on. That's why we put all the packages together. So it makes it life easier for people to go through that process. If my daughter is younger than the standard age to enter university abroad, US, UK, will she have to do a gap year or go back a grade? No, she doesn't have. Dr. Val got into college at 14. She got into university at 14. In the US, no age limits. In fact, if you're 7 and you're part of the exam, they'll take you. You know, but in UK, sometimes some universities are peculiar. We have some of our students now who couldn't go because they were still below 18, but usually UK would accept you when you're 17 with a guardian. So if you have a guardian there, they will accept. US, no limit. Canada, same thing. So, but UK is the one that's a bit peculiar. So we can now, once you text me and you let us know or send us a message for whichever country you're looking at, then we can look at it. Like I said, we have a webinar on Wednesday next week for anyone that, please, do we have a flyer on the webinar, but we can post it and send it. Just watch out for our emails. We are all on our email list, so you'll get an email from us because we're trying to do different webinars for different countries. We cover quite a few countries. So even if it's not the US, and we're trying to also make sure we get scholarships. Like in the UK now, we have been able to get some of us universities to give us, UK doesn't give full scholarship. They give you parts, even that part safe, they will struggle. You know, so US is the one that I know that you can get a full ride. I know somebody's hand was up as the last question. If your hand was up, please, can you unmute and ask your question? Okay, I just actually posted it on the in the question box. But it's just to ask whether if a good score achieved in SS1 can allow us start an application process, or we should wait. It was 14. That's a very good score for SS1. She's done very well. Is it a daughter, your son or daughter? Son. She's done very well. But the thing is, you cannot even go anywhere until WAEC. So where is he now? Where is he at now? He's in SS2. SS2, right? Yes. Yeah, send me a chart and let me tell you some of the things that you can do to fast track. But the thing is, I still need to have a diploma. Is that the US diploma or a grade 12? Because that's the first place they look at. What have they done for secondary school in the last 6 years? They want to see that because that's the foundation of going to college. So even if you have an SAT and it looks like he's a very good student, if he was able to do that, you know, but he can still get 1,600. He can still be prepped to get 1,600. And by the time you get, and then his extracurricular, his essays, all of those things are the packages, and he can now attempt now to start, because sometimes when you have all of those things, even if you don't have the WAEC or you don't have the grade, you can still get universities talking to you. And then and even saying they will admit you, but when you now have those other GPAs, you can add it to it. So it depends on the year, because like I said, American students who are in equivalent of SS2 get their admissions early. Some even get as lower than that. They get admissions early. What they do now is that when they finish their diploma, they'll now add it to it. But they won't be admitted. They can't go to college until they have everything complete, but they can start the process. So it's possible to start the process, start putting in the application, and then we'll take it from there. What the advantage your son has now is that he can now really polish up his package. He has the time, to really put something good together and then to aim for the Ivy Leagues. That's the advantage now, because you started early. So if you text me, fill our form, then we can have a conversation and consultation on all of this.
Okay, thank you very much.
Very much. So I think that's it from us. And that's the last question answered. I just want to say a big thank you to everyone that has joined us. Just send us your email details so we'll keep you abreast. And if you're interested in the services, we will be able to consult, and Dr. Bell will also be able to. Yes, we're going to be posting the link, the recording on the platform that we have. We have a WhatsApp platform that we have quite a few of our scholarship people on. So whether you want to do postgraduate or you want to do undergrad and even PhD, just send us, fill the form, and we'll take it from there. Thank you so much, everyone. And God bless you. Have a lovely evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much.